are used against us actually proves the way that our society works.
But Daniel, in America, our infrastructure, our political infrastructure, our institutional Judaism, we support your governments that the people overwhelmingly criticize. And that's the problem. And so in America, we have an obligation to tell our American institutions and our moneyed organizations that supports Bibi's government at the expense of the Israeli people. And I think that's where...
Let her finish. America.
It's around education, I think, that I want to understand.
Relationship is not with Bibi and his government. Okay? It's saying that for Israel, the government actions Israel as a country. The same as we have relationship. The United States, it doesn't matter if it's United, if it's American, if it's American. And the support for the war is different than supporting the government. You know, and in the election, from the government. But this is not society works.
Our politics and who gets elected and has the state power huge influence over our electoral system. And it's okay for people in America or in Israel. Israel's interested a documentary by an Israeli filmmaker.
Okay, thank you.
That explains the American system and how it works counter to the Israelis' interests.
Can I ask you a personal question? Like, do you remember which friend of yours recommended this documentary? Was it like a friend who you're still cool with?
What is this, like a mind virus? You know, authentic?
Is it like a mind virus? Like gay
Jack, I'm not interested in her friends, and we've heard enough.
You need to know the friend's name.
Wait, let me ask Buttercup a question.
I don't even need an answer to the question.
Okay, good. Contact her back channel. It's not interesting to the room.
Wait, moderators, let me help clear this. Let me help clear up this conflict. Let me ask Buttercup a question.
Was that Norm?
Buttercup.
I was in the middle of speaking, though.
Buttercup, if you were president of Israel, what would you do for your people? What are the top 3 priorities for you if you were the supreme leader of Israel, Buttercup?
President has little power.
Okay, if you were the absolute leader of Israel, Buttercup, what would you do for your people? Give us 3 priorities. Since go ahead.
Oh, wait, what was wrong with my question? I asked a question, then I was muted by another moderator.
I don't want to keep censoring her.
It's very rude for you to come to the room. I'm in the middle of speaking.
Whoa, did you just move Norm down?
I'm in the middle of speaking.
I don't know who's making everybody on. Sorry, but I'm going to move people down and then you can come back up. But no, man, Norm wants with me and Harry and Daniel. I'm sorry. You're not going to move them down. That was a problem.
Okay, so can Buttercup answer that question? Because
she has trouble staying on topic. It's not a personal matter. We don't care about her friends. We've heard enough from her. She wants a one-state solution. She wants to bring the Palestinians into.
I'm open to 2 states. I recognize that 2 states has gotten much farther, so I'm.
That's not going to happen either, Buttercup.
Okay, so Harry, you just don't. You're a rejectionist.
I'm a realist. After October 7th, they're not going to get a state. Get that through your fucking head. It's not that hard to understand. You can say it all you want, but that's never going to happen. That's not going to happen. So coming and massacring 1,200 people and taking them hostage as a present for them for giving them a present, a state?
That's why they have no party.
That makes absolutely no sense.
That's why they have party.
Explain to her, Harry, why it wouldn't happen.
Because October 7th will happen over and over again if we get a fucking country.
You're reinforcing the narrative that Israel is not a partner for peace. That's what you're doing, Harry.
No. Here, Princess Buttercup, did you not see the problem that having terrorists around you creates terror? Israel is done with that.
Okay.
If
History
and they were rejected every
What does
Oh,
single
it have to
time.
do with Kahanis?
They're terrorists.
What is
It's a terrorist ideology.
Kahanis
by
is not
living in
ideology.
by living in peace?
On one hand.
No, but by living with like wanting peace for you and your neighbors and your like in your own country, to not want your children to not want to be able to not want to bury your own children. That's a Kahanist ideology.
For a good book to read.
Yeah, read the. Okay, and read my book too. Read your show mortgage.
Just before you go, I know you have 2 seconds. Is it a Kahanist ideology to not want?
When you live in the West Bank.
But is it so? Is it also, what other country did the United States, when they went to war with Vietnam and the other countries they went to war with, did they bring water supply, food supplies for them?
All right, this is a cruel and inhumane.
No, it's not. I'm asking you a legit question because how is that like?
You're right. Fuck it. Fuck children. Fuck people. Who
No,
cares if
it's
children
not
die?
fuck children. You're right. The children should be preserved and saved. But you have to look at who's
Like,
putting
give
the
them water.
children in harm's way.
All right, I got it.
Why?
Sorry.
Why?
You have to go.
How come Hamas never thought of this before putting their children in harm's way? Why is this Israel's responsibility? How come people don't understand this?
Don't start a war you're not prepared to lose. Like, exactly.
You can't punch a guy in the head with a gun and you only have a walking stick and then complain that he shot you.
October 7th. And I mean, I'm talking also before October 7th. These people think that like before October 7th they deserve to die.
Guys, from the 70s, the late 70s, man, even the early 70s. I was there in 78. The fucking home I was living in got blown up by a fucking Katyusha rocket. This is not new. I don't understand how people are saying this is new. Like, the people that we're arguing with, they've been shooting tens of hundreds of thousands of rockets into Israel. Like, I got hurt by a rocket when I was 1 year old. I had to be rushed back to Canada. My mother rushed me back instead of staying there to get operated on. But to come back to Canada to go through surgery, extremely sick. This is not like, you know, let's talk about 2021. No, this has been going on for decades. People have been shooting rockets into Israel.
But we're not feeding them well enough. When I was living there, I remember we had to put on gas masks to prepare for the fucking Scud missiles that were being shot over by Iraq. So yeah, I mean, this is nothing new. This is in the fucking 90s, man. This is like going back and back. We can keep going back to 48. You know, it's nothing. I just don't understand. Like, these people don't understand history, and they think that now, after October 7th, they deserve a fucking country. Yeah, right. That's never gonna happen.
Exactly. Actually, they would have had a better chance if they brought us baklava instead of killing our children.
I just wanted to say, I think it's really unfortunate what you have to go through, BB.
No, it's nothing, bro. That's nothing compared to what Jews and Israeli citizens, mind you, they're Muslim, they're Hindus, they're Jews, they're Punjabi, they're Sikhs. Like, I don't know if I confused that one out, but they're all kinds of religions inside Israel living in it. All they want is peace.
And there are ones in tunnels
Yeah,
right now.
that's true.
Wherever they're being held.
Julian, you do want to World Free Palestine? I never did that. No, I didn't.
He writes it in the rooms, in Amir's rooms, in the Free Palestine rooms.
No,
he comes in here acting like he's an advocate for Israel.
No, I don't.
I think that was in Amir's room for months. I don't think she's been on the app for a couple days. I seem to remember her there.
It's a very long time, for hours and hours and hours and hours. And then just in the Mikhail room, same thing, anti-Israel. She wants the same thing that the Palestinians want, which is the one-state solution, which means bringing our enemies into our country. The people want to kill us. The people who tell us they want to kill us.
Demographic time bomb.
It's not just demographic. They want to kill us.
The vote.
It doesn't. Wait. Before that, they want to kill us. They said they want to kill us. Never mind the voting. That's the least of the problem. Or they want to
create a state for them on our border with the ability to arm up and to attack us. It's really nonsensical. I mean, that whole thing failed in the 90s. It ended after we offered them the state. After the what?
She's 100% anti-Semitic.
He left what? He didn't tell you this, but she left Judaism.
She's Jewish, but she is anti-Semitic.
Yeah, she left Judaism. She's a dissatisfied customer.
You mean Buttercup practice Takia?
Yeah, something like that.
Well, I think one thing you have to realize is that it's politics.
No, guys, she didn't. She's not Jewish, and she's not doing takia. I mean, there is like this war on truth, and a lot of people that. I mean, part of it is because she's Jewish, but because it's pulling on those like Jewish morals. She's just like Miss It Home. Those narrative is very well packaged, and she needs help. Like, I don't think that she's doing it on purpose. It's not even that unusual. There are other Jews who are anti-Semitic. They're not that rare.
I don't think that it's anti-Semitism. I think it's closer to what Daniel said, and I got to be honest. Norm, I mean, I feel strongly. I mean, I don't know any of you guys, but I have a very strong opinion of you guys. Norm, I love you very much. I don't want to say I love you because I don't even fucking know you. But I didn't mean to move you to the audience. But we don't have to talk about that. I was upset because I was interrupted. But look, about Buttercup, my point is I really think that you guys are missing the point. I think Daniel is the closest to the point, or maybe Yaakov is also good. All of you guys are well-intentioned. But I don't think she's anti-Semitic. I don't think she's hateful. I think she's more like indoctrinated. I think she's more like me from 10 years ago. And the thing is, you know, I clawed my way out of the left through a lot of pain. And a lot, like I got hit in the face a lot to get my way out of that way of thinking. And if you met me from 10 years ago, it would have been trash bag times 10, and I would have only been welcome in Amir's rooms, and I would have been friends with those guys, and down a horrible, horrible, horrible path. And so,
you're getting into psychoanalysis rather
yes,
than
very
just
much.
looking at what you see right before your eyes.
But you've got to look past what you see right before your eyes, right? Because there's so many. It's a very Jewish philosophy. I don't even know the Hebrew words, but there's the world that we see, and then there's the world behind the world, and then there's the creation of that, and then there's the Ein Sof, which was before that, or Norm can help me out, or something like that. You know?
I look at the Peshat.
Well, I want to hear more of that, but look, one sentence conclusion is that if these people are misinformed, Daniel and everybody else, if these people are misinformed, then you must, and this is like it's a tall ask, it's a high order, but you must then become a teacher, you know? And so the challenge is, I think, what's that?
Come on here with this rhetoric. Haven't changed anything. That's the point that I'm trying to make. So, I mean, like, I agree with you. I'm all for education, but it's unfortunate that indoctrination, took these people's thought process. So, and it's not even indoctrination, it's just a hatred for Jews. That's what it comes down to. We're always going to have these people.
It's a hatred for herself.
What is Hasbara?
It means explanation. She's as a Jew. As a Jew, I advocate for the destruction of Israel. That's what she's doing. The things that she's advocating lead directly to the genocide.
She's advocating for
The best that we can do with our process is Hasbara.
I spoke to
egalitarian.
what she said.
I think that she hates Israel and it needs to be dismantled because it's immoral. I was listening to her a few nights ago. She said she hates Israel so much she needs to be dismantled.
Listen, I saw Pakistani Jews, and I don't think that she's one of those that advocate. I think that she's actually looking to find out because she is listening, she is checking.
No, man, I think you're wrong. She's coming with her pre-assumptions about Israel.
Yes, she is coming with pre-assumptions. You're correct. She's coming with pre-assumptions. I didn't know a lot of them, like every fucking sentence.
She also believes everyone's equal. Like, she wants, I hope I pronounce this word right, I never can, egalitarianism. She just thinks, everyone can have the same say in the matter.
You're getting into psychoanalysis.
But that's where it comes from. It's deeply embedded within...
No, you're describing what you do, Yaakov. You're projecting.
I'm giving my
my evaluation of listening over the past week and realizing that it's not coming from a safety standpoint. It's coming from a, well, if we just give them what they want, they'll just not want to kill us.
Right. That failed, unfortunately. Pragmatically, she now advocates for the end of Israel.
Yeah.
And it plays right into the hands of the people who openly advocate for the end of Israel, i.e. genocide. That's what we're looking at now.
Right.
And the value in Israel is the Jewish character of Israel. It's not anything else. I mean, it could be other things.
Yeah, for me, more importantly, it's the safety of the Jewish people. We don't have. If we are spread throughout the world, it's easier to kill us. If we have one place to go to where we can defend ourselves, it's a lot harder to stamp us out. And frankly, if the shit hits the fan in the United States, I'm going there, and I want there to be safe.
Right, that's a common explanation. But besides that explanation, there's the character of the state of Israel, which is an unprecedented thing in the modern world. A country that is the Jewish state. There hasn't been a Jewish state in modern history.
2,000 years.
Yeah.
So I wanted to point out what my friend said, that we don't have like taxi drivers or people killing random Israelis. That's because, and somebody should have pointed out, this is because of the amount of control Israel has. Back in 2014, 15, with the Mayavim Intifada, right? What's it called? Payton. Like there were
a platform for hours, and I came back and there she was again. I heard her say, one state, two states, that, no, I can't even believe, I can't think of the word. You know, for God's sake, help me. Coming back to Israel is called, or wanting and Jews. No, but just the normal word, oh my God.
Zionism?
Yeah, thank you. She goes, Zionism is a new word or something like that. And I'm like, when I was a kid, we had cards from Israel, and we put dimes in a card. When there were 10 dimes, we could plant a tree in honor of anybody we wanted to honor. Okay, Zionism is not a new word. I mean, technically, Herzog, whatever. But my ancestors have always, don't we pray next year in Jerusalem? Have any of you heard that?
At the end of the Passover Seder. Next year.
We also pray 3 times a day for Jerusalem to be restored.
Okay, so when I first got on to this Clubhouse and to X, I was like, I talked to a lot of people. I talked to the Black Israelites. I talked to Nazis. I believe in optimism and conversation and freedom of speech. I really do. And then I was hearing stuff about Zionism, and I go, what do you mean by Zionism? I mean planting trees. What do you mean? And there's this whole language is really important. The word Zionism now is a pejorative. Okay, it's a dirty word. Okay, I don't know.
For some, that's propaganda. For some,
exactly. Yes, that's what I'm referring to. How could it go like that? And then I've gone even deeper, and I don't know who, but they've rewritten the Talmud to be a racist, pedophile-filled crap.
This is also a lie. They've never seen a Talmud in their life. This is pure anti-Semitism, Curry.
I know that. I'm just saying that this is the new, the new Jew.
Not new. We've been dealing with this for thousands of years.
I know. This is the new form. Is just what I'm saying.
I get you. Listen, it's just like racism. There isn't any difference to it. Racism is hating somebody because of who they are. Same thing as anti-Semitism. By the way, they're having the same struggle. For example, and I see there's a person who claims to be an Indian in the room. Hi, AC Spacey. It's the same thing in India. There's a struggle between Muslims and Hindus there, and they hate each other because who they are. People hate people who are different than them. Now, the only problem is that we're not going to allow people to kill us just because they hate us. That's all. Israel has every right to defend itself against hatred. It's very simple.
But the point of this film is to create a safe space. And as I'm repeating myself, last time I was in here, I said the room is full of.
I don't think it should continue. I agree with you, because in the end it becomes very personal, and then we're not really learning anything. She's just sort of trying to center herself and work out her ambivalence about her Jewish identity. That's what we're really looking at, if you want to look at it from a psychological perspective. She's ambivalent about her Jewish identity, and she's acting out on that.
And you were all being very Jewish and very kind and sweet and listening and trying to educate her. I get that, and I love that. I love that about us, that we will do that. But 3 fucking hours, I think...
I'll take as long as it needs to take. I honestly don't care.
Corinne, if...
It's just encouraging her to keep going.
Corinne, it's the dynamic. It is the fact that BB and other mods, and she sounds like a cute little girl, having her flamboyant opinions, her flippant opinions, her die on the hill, all or nothing opinions. That's her politic, though. And I don't think people realize that all communication is politics. And she is literally doing political projection in a Jewish, room or a Jewish audience. But I think most Jews should realize that in the future or now, you will always encounter other Jews who are radically politically, radical and political in their communication. So that's why I say don't entertain it. And I think you're right. Giving somebody a 3-hour platform is madness, but there's only one way to counteract that, and that's to censor it or change the conversation.
Or allow other people to speak, and 3 hours is a really long time. So, moderator, whoever's leading the room can say, can we hear from somebody else or whatever? Or take a thread of what she said, like 1 state, 2 state. No, those are 2 different things.
They're 2 different things, which is hilarious, because what it shows that she doesn't have a clear conviction about it, something that she's arguing for. She just wants to be oppositional. So she centers herself. She has all this attention. I guess she enjoys the attention.
I don't think have to give her any more attention now that she's out of the room, frankly. She did what she does. She's very, like Devin said, she's oppositional and confrontational and obviously self-hating and ambivalent. And let's talk about the issue instead. So, I want to, like I said, this is what's happening, the realignment of the world. And I'm not saying this like in some sort of conspiracy theory way. This is literally what's happening right now, is that the United States, which is the world superpower economically and militarily, undisputed by unopposed, the United States is saying to Israel, we want you to handle this. So Trump has given Israel whatever it needs to win the war, which is, I think, just and fitting, since we represent American interests in the region. And the American interests in the region are the Abraham Accords. The American interest and the world interest is peace. And the way to achieve the peace is for the Arab nations and for the Jewish nation and for Lebanon, which is a mixed Christian and Muslim nation, to get onto the same page and to do business and to get put all of this wasteful wars behind them. Everybody wants to join the Abraham Accords. So that's the direction that we're heading into. And same thing, by the way, with Ukraine and Europe. America says, Trump says to Europe, we want you to dedicate more of your GDP to the military. They're dedicating like 17% of their GDP to or less to the military, less than 2% to NATO specifically, and 40% to social programs. Meanwhile, the United States is dedicating far less of our GDP to social programs and more to the military, and most of all to our debt. So all of that stuff has to be addressed now in order to pose a credible opposition to China, which is what we're turning our face to now. So it's not even really a conversation anymore. I think the Arabs who live in the region, whatever they want to call themselves, Palestinians or Arabs or Hamas or PA, nobody wants to commit genocide. Obviously, nobody wants them all to leave. Obviously, but it is non-negotiable that they be peaceful. Those that are not peaceful, they're going to be involved in a war, and they may have to leave because it's not acceptable for people to be observed. No other nation in the world will put up with it. Israel has no obligation to do so. I don't know if anybody wants to comment.
Hamas has endeavored to force Israel to commit genocide, and Israel has done its best to avoid committing genocide.
Can I say something about the room title?
Yeah.
Because I feel like the problem once people start talking about genocide and the war is it just becomes that tunnel. But, in terms of Clubhouse safe space, the now is all important. And if you want to have safety and security, that means you need situational awareness. That means what you're listening to and what you're saying. But in my opinion, the biggest danger is not what you're saying, but what you're listening to. Because we are memory repeating boxes. And after you get conditioned with enough bullshit, you will come into these rooms and make it an unsafe space for other people and regurgitate the hate speech, racist nonsense that you have basically conditioned yourself on through all that other content. So I'm just saying that, in terms of situational awareness, I don't think that you can destroy a mind virus or help cure someone's mind virus by having conversations with them. There's no education in a conversation. It's basically heated politic. And that's why I encourage you all to have a book club or a book reading room to help break people's trance or hypnosis or mind virus on all the real politic that they like to spew out. El Normo and I and Zach and I and maybe Harry, maybe BB, I don't know. We've read Tanya as a solution or a way to help people break their mind virus, to wake them up, to say, shit, you know what? I'm being self-destructive doing and promoting what I'm saying. Because if you're rooting for the other team, you need to learn the rules of baseball. So that's my opinion. I'm complete. Thanks.
Kahanist movement, actually. So that would be actually a good book to read for them. I want to criticize Israel about something. The other side has wonderful propaganda. Israel has shit for propaganda. I just found out, and for God's sakes, I'm educated. I just found out how many rockets have hit Israel this past year alone. Okay? Nobody in the world knows this. If I don't know this, nobody else knows this. Israel does not share information. People don't even remember what suicide bombers were. Okay? They're absolutely uneducated as to the history, the recent history of Israel. So I think we need some reality going on, because anytime I talk to a friend in Israel, it's like, oh, gotta go to the shelter today. Every fucking time they're running for cover. And I heard it was over 10,000 bombs that for this year. Yeah, the Tanya, that's beautiful. I'm all for all of that stuff. Absolutely. It's a wonderful idea. Because people think, I don't know, what do we do? Make matzah, blood, or whatever.
Well, it's the moderator's job. If they're not going to read a book with the moderators, you might have to read to them.
A book club, John, and that's why you record, you share the rooms in another room. It's because if I had a book club room, there would be 2 people here. Me?
Well, that's okay. That's how you actually start doing tikkun olam. You can't repair the world until you repair other people and help repair them. They can't repair themselves.
But I think people are beyond that, John. I think people are beyond that, and they want to hear action and excitement and this and that. But
no one is beyond Torah. No one is beyond Torah. It's the truth.
Right. You're absolutely right. But if we indulge ourselves in Torah, and then we speak of what we learned and engage that in our conversations. Put it like this. Any normal Jews wouldn't have given her a time of day. They wouldn't have spent 3 hours talking to her. I think it's because we fucking care. Because we do read Torah and Talmud and we do believe in the Jewish faith, and we do believe in there's good. but we're not naive at the same time. So, I mean, I think we are naive, actually. But we're spending time with her, and I think that's a pretty Jewish thing to do.
No, it's fine if I think it's fine if you spend. I think it's fine if you spend your time in loving, selfless kindness. But I'm a big promoter of education, and I don't think you can actually help cure people's mind viruses unless you use Torah or some type of wisdom education. And so you are admitting, in a way, you're spinning your wheels by having a 3-hour convo. I'm just saying, try to make use of your time more productively.
John, do you think that let's play this out here? You think that, like, for example, let's bring in all the people in our mirrors room here. They would come in here. You think they're gonna give the time of the day to sit here and fucking listen to that shit? You really think that, John? Come on.
No, I'm not saying there's a speck of dust out of place. I'm just saying I was very depressed one time, and very, very depressed. And I went to a Chabad rabbi, and he let me say my piece. And guess what his advice was to me? John, you got to be productive. And so I'm just reiterating that. At the time, I didn't necessarily like that response. But now, after reading more books, I do understand that our time really is truly very limited. And if you want to optimize the situation for Israel or yourself or other people on this app, reading a book is the best way to help optimize your time.
John, by reading a book, I have two questions for you. Number one, by reading a book, are you being productive or are you being consumptive of other people's media? And number two, when are you going to write a book?
Listen, wisdom and Torah is what I'm talking about, my friend, and I encourage all of you to pick up a Torah book today and read it.
I would consider it an accomplishment if I did a wash. My clothes are dirty.
Listen, I feel for what you're saying, and I agree. But the thing is, at the end of the day, these people don't want to learn. That's the thing. They have their narrative in their head, and they'll stick by it to the very end. That's it. So I don't, like I said earlier, I don't care. I'll spend fucking 30 hours with that bitch. I don't care. I will sit there to expose all of her lies. And you know what? And I love the teamwork that we have with a lot of the people on here that do it as well, because it's just so easy to debunk. And at the end of the day, I like making people look stupid. So if she wants to come in here and make herself look stupid, by all means, come in here and make herself look stupid. It's not a problem. And then we give them the time of the day to actually say something and speak, right? When you go into the other rooms, they just kick you down as soon as they don't like what you say. So at least we do that here. Now, at the end of the day, I can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped. Right, John? You woke up one day and said, you know what, I want to help myself, so that's why you went to the rabbi and talked with him. These people don't want help. They believe in what they believe, and they will to the end of the day, to the end of their life. That's it. Just like Hamas. It's the same kind of ideology. So that's how I see it.
And what about the people that are learning from the conversations that we're having with her, that are in the room, that were a little bit on the fence and didn't know how to express it, and it just sealed it for them, and they're like, you know what? It is propaganda. I am being indoctrinated. I learned something by listening to like Harry, El Normo, Devin, Samson. Wow.
I'm not saying your show's not good.
No, but what if one example of a conversation with her helps 3 other Jews?
No, that's fine. I'm not saying you wasted your time this morning or you will ever waste your time. I'm just merely advocating for every 10 hours of Clubhouse. More Torah. Yeah. Torah for breakfast, Torah for lunch, Torah for dinner.
Can I say something? My life was changed by Anne Frank, and I played her in high school. So I have a really, really deep connection to her. And what struck me about Anne is that one person, one child, gave somebody to focus on. And she is the face of the Holocaust. And she's reached more people than any kind of book or, well, it was her diary, but than any other kind of interference. Or I'm sorry, I'm grabbing for words and I'm not doing very well. One person can have a great deal of influence, and there's something about that phenomena, and you can't really pick in advance what that'll be, but it's there. And I would love, just reading a little bit about Golda Meir is life-changing, But yeah, anything from and I like to study history through biographies. So that would be a really interesting way. And try, as far as teaching the Torah, try to get away from the Torah. You can't, because it's the basis of jurisprudence. Okay, it's the basis of everything in the world.
But I have to disagree, Karine. I think that's the problem. A lot of Jews are moving away from the Torah, and that's what's hurting. John, before you give money, where my cousin, the Torah in dedication of his late parents and uncle, and we did a whole parade and this and that. It was amazing. It was so beautiful, and there was like 4 other Torahs, and we were marching in the street, and such a beautiful thing. And I brought my tefillin, and I rapped, and I was rapping a couple guys, but then there was like people that I know that are really good, and they're struggling with business and life, and and they look like they're doing amazing. And the rabbi asked them, you want to rap tefillin? And they're like, no. And then another guy, rabbi asked, the same guy, you want to do tefillin? He was like, no, I already did. And I looked at him, and I'm like, yo, bro, why don't you do it? He's like, that shit ain't for me. And I'm like, and I didn't want to pry and tell him, like, you should. But, like, how does a Jew get to that point where that shit ain't for him? Like, before, when I started my company, like, 28 years ago, it was predominantly all Jews. And we would stop by the rabbi once a week, and everybody would wrap tefillin, and then I catered a lunch, and we would all have lunch. And there was one Jewish guy, out of spite, on purpose, he's like, I don't rap. I don't do that shit. I'm like, how do you not do that? And to me, that was a big problem, because, like, we're all, like, 95% of us are all Jews. Everybody's doing it. The goys, they wanted to rap tefillin. I was like, why don't you want to rap tefillin? He's like, oh, my father works for a cemetery, a funeral home, and he does such big blessings, we don't need to do that. And I'm like, wow, how fucking stupid are you? But no, that's the problem, where the simplest thing, and I actually timed it, how quick I can rap tefillin, is 3 minutes. 3 minutes of your day. To give to people, it's an amazing thing, because they say give back to Hashem, but really you're giving back to yourself, because you are Hashem. So to give 3 minutes to yourself, like, I think what you said is extremely important, and I'm really resonating on what you said, and it's very valid. And like, to talk more about Torah, and to talk about being a better Jew, and to study and to ask those, the Jewish questions. And that's why, like, it's my favorite time at Pesach, when, you hear the story about the child that asked the questions. But I think there's Jews that they just want to say they're Jewish, but they don't want to do anything Jewish.
Well, her role in the room, that woman Buttercup, was to, I think, jog our thinking in order to, if we have to jog it more of our thinking.
She was making us more Jewish.
Find out what our located. And I just wanted to share that it was about 5 years ago. I was in school, and I had this epiphany, and I felt like, oh my God, this is the first time I feel safe in a shul. That was 7 years ago, and that feeling is gone. As a matter of fact, I don't understand what it's thinking about. I have to take lists. I don't know what the drivers all over the world. I don't feel safe anymore, and I think that a few years ago this was a big revelation that I did feel safe. And when did my ancestors ever feel safe? I don't know. My mom was born in the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising. My father was born in Lithuania, running for his life. He wound up in a concentration camp. When the fuck have any of us felt safe? Really safe, like deep breath, safe. It came and it went. And Chabad people, because they have this warmth of heart that really has affected me in a positive way.
There's one beautiful thing going on right now, and that is that non-Jews, a few here and there, like Stefanik, and several others, I mean quite a few, have really spoken out with a full voice, with as strong a defense of Jews as anyone could, and to hear them become gems, these people, to me, I mean, I'm not sure, but I guess I'm surprised. It's like a new thing on the horizon.
Yeah, Dr. Angela Griffin. I mean, I've been friends with her for years, and I'm blown away by her. She'll come into the room, and if she smells any hatred, she just goes after it, and she brings her seeds. She has a soft, gentle voice, and she's not scared out of those kinds of people. So, yeah, we do it on here every day, Kurt. We do it on here every day, and the problem is, like, I appreciate that people like her, but I don't know if you had the person resistance on here. So when you have somebody like this guy, how do we get through to somebody like this guy, a vile, hatred person, a person full of hate, and literally a terrorist? I mean, you just can't get through to people like that. I'm sorry, I couldn't speak before, but have you heard him speak? You know what I'm talking about? No, but, no, I live in Thousand Miles. She might fly. Work on yourself. Pray more. I agree with you. I think that's a great, advice, but, the logic truth behind what's going on is that some of these people, they don't care what you say to them. They hate you so much. And this guy, he's a Puerto Rican that converted to Islam, and he has so much to say about Israel that he's not even ever been, never set foot there, has no connection or relation. It's at the end of the day, what it is he's progressive and I'm not, turned away from that. So it is possible that can happen, right? But I feel like what's going on today in this world, it's so hard to place, right?
See, the problem is if you don't inject Torah or wisdom into any room, eventually the room will collapse because it becomes an echo chamber. So, I mean, having the contrarian position, your position is how you have a fun conversation and reveal a silver lining, which is always Torah.
Well, a wonderful way to go into to really go into a conversation, whatever it is to ask questions. So the first time somebody says, oh, the blood to make matzahs. And instead of freaking out, which I do, I get very emotional. I'm triggered very easily. But if you can be calm and go, well, wow, where did you hear that? Well, it's in the Talmud. And I go, which Talmud or where or whatever. And you just kind of draw out. I mean, I've actually, quite honestly, I'm a therapist. I'm a family therapist. I worked with a Nazi. His daughter was very sick mentally, and I just went ahead and worked with the family for years, and the kid did really well, and the family got better as well. And when we ended the sessions, because it was through the school, I got my supervisor really by the way, I'm Jewish, and he wanted to show me his constitution, tattoo on his chest. And I loved it. them later, and then rushed over to me to hug me or cry because their daughter was doing so well when they were doing so well. So,
But did they know that you were Jewish before they gave you a hug?
yeah, when we ended the therapy, I mentioned, by the way, I'm Jewish, and my supervisor said, "Why did you do that? It's really unprofessional of you." But I was just being a human. Now, my dad was in a camp, for God's sakes, and I lost my grandparents and my uncle in Auschwitz. So it's, and I grew up, I don't share this with many people, but I grew up here in Nazis when I was 5. I had waking dreams, I guess they're called. So I'm very, very infused with the Holocaust and hatred for Jews. It's in my DNA. And I was able to, because there was a child involved, I was able to overcome all of that and work with his family. And I'm not saying it's going to happen with everybody, but this is what the Torah says. You change yourself. You do more good deeds, period. You pray more. I know it sounds silly, and I'm not really great. I love Chabad, but I don't know rules. I'm not a great Jew as far as, And I decided I wanted to say the Shema 3 times a day. And I was like, hey, as a matter of fact, most Jews, religious Jews, do say the Shema a few times a day. And, the clouds part, there's a spiritual realm that we're also existing in, and you have to experience the power of prayer. And, I don't want to be too corny about it, but it really works. It's amazing. And, I've been fired. I work for the government in the school system with children. I would have been fired if they knew that I was quietly praying every time I talked to a kid. Because I was. Because all healing comes from God. And that, if we look at these people who are full of hatred, they're brainwashed. I mean, on every newspaper, even Haaretz, right? And there's Jew hatred. It's all over the place. So we're not looking at normal anything. How many of you have liberal friends that say, well, of course I'm not anti-Semitic, it's just, Israel. What the fuck does that mean? I don't know. And God help us, my family, my Jewish family is liberal. They feel the same way. The hatred is all over the place, and the lies are everywhere. These 300-pound women are allegedly being starved in Gaza. Okay, how's that happening? People will believe anything. And yes, have Jews done bad things? Of course. Everybody does bad things. Every group of people does bad things. But, whenever there's a crime, do you read, that the criminal was a Protestant? The criminal was a Catholic? No. If they're Jewish, yeah, you will hear that. The criminal was Jewish. And for some reason, we all pay. Every last Jew pays for every fucking Jewish criminal. That doesn't happen in other groups. So, yeah, the cards are stacked against us, absolutely. And it's rooms like this where we touch base with each other and support each other. And, yeah, we call out, when somebody's taking over the room and manipulating.
You've taken over.
Huh?
You've taken over.
Because I'm a therapist, which means I'm a manipulator. So, no, love you all. I appreciate what you're doing very much. And, I need these are rare rooms to find, let me tell you. That's why I jumped in today.
Karina, in the chat, I put a recording I made. It's the prayers of Reb Nachman, and it's only about 28 minutes, but it's an incredible book. I read it, 10 years ago, but I put it on YouTube. I put the link in the chat. If nobody's ever heard the prayers of Reb Nachman, you can hear me, John Kitover, reading them.
John, can you tell people the story of Rebbe He's amazing. Hold on, I got a call.
I can't really tell you the story, but I would encourage you to read the prayers because it's a program, a neurolinguistic program on how to communicate with the divine. So it's an incredible. It's a 28-minute prayer recording about his prayers written in a book, translated from Hebrew. It's an unbelievable book.
Thank you so much. Sounds really good. I'm an NLP person. I've had good results with that therapy in the past, so it sounds really good. Thank you.
Yeah, they call it dialectical therapy. It's called reading a book, and if you read it out loud and listen to yourself reading it, the therapeutic effect is even more profound.
That's absolutely true. Your word has a great deal of power, and especially when you're speaking the truth, it has an amazing amount of power. So, yeah, that's why we have to be careful with our words and not be manipulated by them. Like safe and effective. You got to watch out for some words because they're manipulative.
I asked AI, I couldn't remember, but I knew I had heard a story about life being compared to a long bridge, and that the aim on this journey of life is to walk this bridge, which life is compared to, and to not be afraid. And I said to AI, where does this come from in Jewish writing? And it might come from Rabbi Nachman or somebody related to that sphere of people.
Or maybe David, read the Songs of David. Good idea.
I remember a story from Rabbi Nachman. There's a book that when you get married, like a rabbi gave me it, and it was a whole book about Rabbi Nachman, and it talks about a story about a Jewish guy that he wasn't religious, and he slowly started to become religious, and he started paying attention to how many times or how much hours he was spending a day praying, and he started praying 5 hours a day, and he would have 3 or 4 meals. He would sleep 8 hours. He would talk to people, and he said, "Wow, I'm wasting so much time talking to people, eating 3 meals, sleeping. I could be praying more." So he quit his job and he started praying 14 hours a day, eating 3 meals, sleeping a little less, and then he started to get upset, and he's like, "This isn't enough." So then he got a little shock, and he started praying 20 hours a day, and he had 4 hours left, so he would sleep for an hour, and he would eat his meals, and then he said, "Wow, I'm wasting time here by having these meals. I should grind them up or make them into liquid, and I could sleep 15 minutes, use the bathroom," and he had it all calculated out. And he started playing 22 hours a day, and he left the rest for 2 hours, and he's all up to the center of the town, and everybody ran up, and nobody really engaged with him, but they're